We are just over 2 weeks away from the release of Bungie's Marathon, their very own extraction shooter. Now, is this going to be too big to fail, or is this the next on the list? Hi everyone, it's Az here from HeelvsBabyface. On the 5th of March of this year, Bungie are going to release their brand new game, Marathon, which is actually a revamp of an old IP of theirs from the mid-90s, first-person shooter, and they're reimagining it as a PvPvE first-person extraction shooter, which is easy for me to say. Bungie, of course, are renowned for the Halo franchise and the Destiny franchise, and with digging out an old IP in Marathon, are they going to set their sights on the future with this, or is it going to actually set the company back, I would say, further than they're going already? Now, I don't say that just to be a bit of a poopy pants person, but with Destiny 2, for example, there was a very specific pattern when it came to the release of their expansions, and you can see that there is actually a very consistent amount of players that returned. Yes, they left very quickly soon after, but you got a consistent up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down until 2024. And when that went down, it's never gone back up again. And with another expansion release in December of last year, it hasn't hit those heights in the slightest. Destiny 2 seems to have significantly fallen off when it comes to gamers. This is where I personally dropped at the Lightfall, which was meant to herald this great new direction for Destiny 2. And as one of those people that are in this massive decline there, and I haven't been back on it since and don't intend to return back to Destiny 2 ever. Now, approximately 2 or so years ago, we got the announcement of Marathon from Bungie, and it seemed to be pretty well received for the most part. The vast majority of people gave the video a thumbs up, over 100,000 likes, 7,000 dislikes. In terms of ratio, yeah, not bad at all. But it wasn't long until Marathon was going to find itself in the middle of a heck of a controversy. The first massive hit to the foundations was when they actually did their first gameplay reveal in April of last year. And even though the video itself got over 1 million views, which has got to be exceedingly encouraging when you're trying to develop an audience, it got 25,000 upvotes and 19,000 downvotes. People were seemingly very split on what the game itself was actually trying to achieve. But then, a month later, they got some devastating news. They'd been caught stealing, and they'd been caught stealing art assets from an individual. Now, I want to stick with using Forbes for these articles, and particularly Paul Tassi. It will become apparent later on. Bungie stealing Marathon art is probably the last straw. Marathon developer Bungie has been accused of and has now admitted to stealing artwork used in the current build of Marathon from an artist who first published the work in 2017. The artist, Anti-Real, who posted several comparisons of her work and existing Bungie Marathon assets, which go far beyond, quote, inspiration, and often are direct one-in-one lifts of the images, words, symbols, and even Anti-Real's own personal logo. Whoopsie-daisy. The article would continue. I believe it's too early to start naming and blaming specific individuals within Bungie, but the studio will need to do an intense investigation into this and come out with a lengthy explanation in addition to the terms they've come to with the artist publicly. Paul Tassi would then go on to say, I have had serious doubts about Marathon's ultimate viability in the PvP/extraction shooter market for a while now, and doubly so after an underwhelming closed alpha a few weeks back. I guess Mr. Tassi isn't a big fan of where Marathon seemingly was going. Now, understandably, this drew the ire of gamers and fans of Bungie alike. After all, this company was renowned for Halo, was renowned for Destiny, and was caught stealing assets from an individual. It seemed to be a colossal fall from grace, and for the next few months, it was absolutely reflected in the videos that the official Marathon YouTube channel put out there. 2 years ago, they were getting 22 million on the announcement trailer. 10 months ago, they had 1 million plus views on the gameplay announcement. But from there, unless it was a cinematic, it was very much depreciated. Even though the likes to dislikes were certainly more on the positive side, it looked like everything that had happened as regards to the art theft and also the playtesting and what people were seeing, there are a lot of people which had already seemingly noped out of this future extraction shooter. Now, this is part of the video that I'd like to insert my own thoughts because, well, I'm an opinionated twat. And everything that I've seen from Marathon so far, I have to confess, has not done anything for me whatsoever. I wish it did. I wish I was watching this and looking at this and going, hey, this looks like it's going to be really cool. But the aesthetic of the game, the gameplay elements that I've seen, I'm not feeling it. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not necessarily going to try the game. I mean, I know it's really late in the day, but they are going to be doing their server slam, which is going to be an open beta test from the 26th of February to the 2nd of March, 3 days until the full release of the game, where anybody and everybody can just jump on, stress test the servers, and also see what Marathon is all about. I think that's going to be a really good opportunity to see if looks can be deceiving. But as regards to what it's done so far, yeah, it's done nothing for me. So I moved away from actual Bungie itself gameplay, and I'd heard that Burnt Peanut, who has exploded in the extraction shooter marketplace recently due to Ark Raiders, and we'll talk about that in a moment, he got access to Marathon, and so I thought, let's watch him play. With his mates, with his friends, this could actually turn out to be a really decent experience, and I got to say, I still thought it looked terrible. I think aesthetically, it looks blocky. It doesn't look appealing to me, and gameplay-wise and shooter-wise, and yes, that could be an array of different things from Burnt Peanut's gameplay itself through to the weaponry, ammo, etc. that he was using, but it just didn't do anything. So let's return back to Forbes and let's return back to Paul Tassi, an article that was written just a few days ago, a creeping complaint about Marathon. I'm seeing more and more. And what this complaint is the aesthetic of the game, how it actually appears to people, and also how the weaponry, the guns, appear to people, with a lot of people citing that it feels very blocky, looks like a mobile phone game, looks like Lego, looks like something that was created in Roblox. All of this has been said as regards to the complaints. And it seems that Paul Tassi, though, might have actually had a little bit of a change of heart about what he actually thinks of the game, because he kind of thinks it looks okay right now. Approximately 19 hours or so ago, Paul Tassi put a post out on social media responding to one made by the official Marathon account, who were essentially promoting the open beta test from the 26th of February. And he stresses, we can debate the long term, but yeah, this game sure isn't going to collapse after 2 weeks. Now, that's clearly in reference to games like Concord and Highguard, as they both collapsed in approximately 2 weeks. Highguard, of course, sacking 90% of its staff a few days ago. Even though it's still running, it's a matter of time. They simply don't really have any players to keep it afloat at all. Now, even though there's been significant criticism when it came to Concord and significant criticism when it came to Highguard, and yes, there has been a lot of criticism about Marathon, I would say that Bungie are very different from the other two. I think they separates themselves. Bungie does have an audience thanks to Halo, thanks to Destiny. So, yes, I think it's a very safe bet. I don't think Paul Tassi is going out on a limb here to say it won't fold after 2 weeks. But it is the long term that needs to be discussed here. And however long that long term actually becomes. Because back 10 months ago, when they did the gameplay reveal trailer, which was exceedingly polarizing to gamers, and then the month later, when they lost a lot more of their goodwill due to the fact that they were stealing assets off somebody, particularly when you're a company like Bungie, Arc Raiders wasn't even part of the discussion then. People had no idea what was in store for them with that game, even though it was doing its own testing procedures. Extraction shooters were very niche at the time, and most people would just refer you to something like Tarkov within that field that had really captured the hardcore extraction shooter marketplace. So when Arc Raiders came along and took everybody by surprise, how many players, potential players from Marathon did it take along with it? And maybe more importantly, when people actually get to do this beta test, this open beta test, which I imagine will get a good amount of players on it, the comparisons can be made in terms of the quality of the game, the fun of the game, the longevity that they see in it, etc., etc. And even though Arc Raiders is a third-person shooter and Marathon is a first-person shooter, that's only going to factor into whatever gameplay elements people prefer. But that could end up not being a good thing for Marathon if the game is as, well, bland as it's been looking in its released videos. I don't envision Marathon to fall apart after 2 weeks. It would have to take, I think, something spectacular for that to happen. However, I do think that Marathon is going to be in choppy, tumultuous waters. And I don't think it's something it's going to be able to get out of quickly. I hope that they have a plan in place and a long-term plan in place that is going to allow them to pivot if necessary and adapt if necessary. Because from what I see, from the sort of undertones that I can feel from a lot of people, this is only coming across kind of And that's not what you need when you've got a game like Arc Raiders out there absolutely smashing it. So good luck to Bungie, because I think 2026 is going to be a very difficult year for them. And I'll see you in the next video. You take care. Goodbye, Global!